Alrighty, progressions and fading treats or toys. Fading off of the lure takes time. Okay, that's the only way to cut it. You're gonna have to lure and shape a behavior, and then you can start weaning them off, whether if it's using treats or toys. I actually got both. I got treats in my pocket at first, and then probably saw that little bulge. Not just happy to see you, but I actually got a ball back there, but I don't want them to see it, even though just kind of was playing with them for a little bit. Also, even though I have both of my dogs out to do this, please start with one dog. Don't do this with two dogs unless you're on a leash or they're very controlled, or in like a backyard setting. If you're doing this out in the open, please only be training one dog at a time. So in this case, it's a do as I say, not a do as I do type of moment. But luring and fading treats, toys takes time, okay? Think about luring and fading as progressions, just like, you know, I use it all the time as an analogy. You know, you're getting stronger in the gym, you're adding weight, you're adding reps. When it comes to progressions and luring, you're either adding steps or duration. In this case, with the focus heel, it will be time and steps, because they are looking up at you for a greater length of time and for more steps, okay? And then that's one way to progress. The other way is to fade the treat, meaning you're now taking the treat away from them. So the biggest way to do a lure and to do a luring and a shaping is to have that treat as visible and as amped up in front of them as they possibly can be, okay? And then if you want to start making it a little bit harder for them, you can progress by doing like a closed fist. You can progress, and I'm gonna show you all this stuff. You're gonna do a closed fist, you can take it away so they're not so close to it, meaning they're not literally trying to bite and jammer right into the treat. You can switch hands. You're literally getting that treat further and further away from them. Eventually with toys, you can do it where you're not even seeing it, but eventually they know the reward is coming and go ahead and release, or even have it at a distance and they got to do the behavior away from it, and then they can release it and go back to the toy. Okay, so to make this easy, Ava, come here. Open hand. Ava, come here. Open hand, yes. Ava, the other dog is there, so that's why I'm doing it like with Ava. Open hand, yes. Plus, if you can hear the other dog, that's why I'm just, hey, plus. That's why I'm just having to do it with her. When it comes to, like I said in the other video, when it comes to releasing, make sure you have a release word. So if it's yes, great, awesome, whatever it is, this way they know the behavior stops and ends. Remember, the behavior for a focus heel is just them looking up right at you and being in line with you. Once you give that command to release, they no longer have to look at you, they no longer have to stay in line with you, and then this way you can go ahead and freely or fluidly change the way you deliver your treat, okay? It doesn't always have to be exactly where it is, because if you do it exactly where it is over and over, they're gonna get conditioned. Yes, that's the point in the beginning, is to condition them to a certain point and a certain look and a certain behavior, but over time, eventually to condition them to not have to rely on that treat right there, okay? Nice. So, beginning, open hand, so you can literally see him flicking the hand. Flick, 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 flick. There it is. Yes, good boy. Ava's a little bit more advanced, so we're gonna go ahead and do a closed hand. Ava, left. Right there, and then close. Still looking, still looking. Yes, good girl. One thing I will say, when you're doing all this, stop short of what you think they can do or handle. Meaning, if you start with 3 or 4 steps, maybe start with 1 or 2. If you think they can get 6, 7, 8, 10 steps, stop 2 or 3 steps shy of that. Because you want to release while they are doing that behavior, which is still looking at you. Remember, there's 2 ways to release: during the motion and during once they sit. But do not, if they break from another distraction or just lack of interest, you gotta start all over, okay? And in training, I wouldn't go ahead and say no, I wouldn't do any of that just yet because it's just training. So do it while it is perfect and then release. The last thing you wanna do is have too many interruptions and then have to keep starting over. Eventually it's just gonna get too much confusion on the dog, okay? So that's close. Now we're gonna go ahead and switch hands. So, gonna pretend that there's a treat in the hand. Hey, ace, boost. Yes, good boy. Ava, great. Yes. Now, one thing I will start doing here in a second, because I'm actually kind of running low on treats, is I am gonna start releasing them backwards. Ace usually doesn't have a problem with this. Ace usually I have to release forward because again, he wants to hang back a little bit. Remember, what your dog naturally wants to do, you gotta do the opposite. Ace naturally wants to hang back, so when he gets it, I want to release him forward so he stays with me and his drive keeps going forward with the momentum. With Ava, she has a tendency to get forward, so with her, I'm actually progressing with the treat behind her. Doing it behind the head, it's twofold. One, it's gonna keep her wanting to lunge too far forward. Two, it's great because now she can't really see it and she's gonna have to really accentuate that neck to really get a high pop on the neck, okay? You'll see it once I get the ball out, but for right now, with Ace, gonna keep that a little bit in front of me, right there where that head is. Yeah. I'll go ahead and throw it for that one so he can go ahead and get moving so he's not just always waiting. Ava. Hand is almost back. Yes. Hopefully you saw that one. I'll do it again on this side. Ava. Hand is behind the head. Yes. And the treat comes from the other hand. So, that's how you're slowly going to progress. Strong in the beginning, meaning they see it, they smell it, step it up, do a closed hand a little bit more, can get that hand a little bit higher. So rather than having Ace right here where he's hitting my hand, you can go a little bit higher. Yes, good boy. But he's still looking and he still has the head position that I want. Ava, same thing with her. If you need to, you can always get a little help with the hand to keep the head position a little bit longer, but I wouldn't recommend it coming right out of the gate. That's just more as a gentle reminder because they might fight your hand in the beginning. Once they get used to it and understand what you're getting, then you can go ahead and add that little hand as that reminder to keep the chin up, okay? So go ahead and use the toy now. This one should get Ava pretty amped up. See what I mean? And already behind the head. So she can't see, but it really accentuates that head. Yes. There you go. Good girl. Out. Lock hold up drive, get her moving. Boost. Now the good thing with the ball is that even though she can't see it, she can hear. Yes. Just mess with her a little bit, just so the delivery system isn't the same old, same old. And this is where I'm saying don't do it with two dogs because if you start, I usually have two balls going out when I'm doing this, but for right now I only have one. So again, please don't do this with two dogs because you don't want them to fight or get into a ruckus, but these are mine. They listen to me pretty well, so that's why I'm okay doing it. Up. So again, big lure, she sees it, different way to lure. Again, even though it's right there, the head position, yes, good girl. Even though the head position is perfect, ball is right above, can start moving off to the side. And now the goal is to maintain that head position rather than them trying to look that way. However, because I just want to give you all the information that I can, so this one might just be a big information dump at this point. If their head starts to turn inward to really look at you, like almost coming across the body, a lot of it is the genetics and just how the dog is going to be positioned. One little tip is to actually have the ball or the lure on the opposite side and force the head to look away from you. And then over time, it kind of cancels out and straightens out. So you go from one extreme to the other. If their head position starts to cock across your body like this, put the lure out here so their head actually goes out to the side of your body. And then once the lure goes away, hopefully that just cancels out and their head becomes now more vertical and more straight, okay? Do on the right, same thing. She can't see it, but it's right there. Now I just have my hand there as an added distraction. Yes, good girl. I know, Ace, you want to play too. So now, I'll do Raj, she's over here. Ava, flops. Left, drop it. Ava, left. Ace got the ball. Ava, boost. Good, good. That's it. She wants to look. Yes, good girl. There you go. And that's just one last thing about rewards is, even though if there's a primary one right there, you want to do a secondary, which means you're going to have to take the reward that I give you, not the one that you want. So in that case, even though there's the ball over there, Ace has got it chilling because it's hot, he's in shade. I did have a little extra treat, so rather than giving her the ball and taking it away from him and starting a fight, just went ahead and gave her a treat out of my pocket. Okay? So that's it. When it comes to progressions and luring off of treats or toys, I'll always say, always reward, always praise. So even if you don't have, in the beginning, yes, you want luring, you need shaping. Absolutely. Go ahead and add the praise, like good girl, go rock star, pat them, you know, not hit them, but pat them so they can feel it, rub their head, rub their belly. You know, you're just amped up because they did something good, so you want to support them and encourage them to keep doing it and getting that added praise. Just like us as humans, we want that praise. We want to be felt like we did something proud for our elders, so to speak, our owners. So go ahead and do the same thing with your dog. Okay, so heavy in the beginning, they see the treat, they see it, they smell it. As they're getting better and better over time, day, week, several months to do this, start doing total, not just for this individual step of open hand to closed hand. Closed hand, get away from their nose, eventually do opposite sides, anything to get them further away from relying on that toy, however you want to do it. Open hand, closed hand, putting the treat on top of the hand so it's almost an open hand, but the treat lies on top, so even though it's there, it's really not there in terms of them. Different delivery systems, so if it's always on the left hand side, go ahead and feed them with the right rather than going all the way straight down. You can spin them, and that's what I was doing, what you saw me doing, which is I literally do a spin. The spin is just making sure they don't always lunge forward, so they're releasing backwards rather than going forward, so this way don't start lunging too far ahead of you while you are doing the behavior. Start using toys, so in the beginning always use treats, then up the scale to toys. Obviously they're very high drive and motivated with their balls, so whatever their favorite ball is or toy is, use it. Same thing, they see it, eventually it gets further away, outside of the head, above the head, different sides. Just don't go too soon, too fast with all this, because eventually it will, and you just don't want the movement to decay over time. So if you're starting to see, well, they're not getting this progression just yet, go ahead and regress one step whatever form that looks like to you. Get that to be really solid, and then go ahead and back up the progression list. One thing I always do is go one progression heavy, just a couple, and then end the session on a lesser progression, but just getting more duration, as in more steps or more length of time for them to give me that look or that distance that I'm looking for. Okay? Good luck. Talk to you next time. Keep training your dog. Talk to you next time. Done.